definitely a lot faster, and I think it'll handle every bit that cart could give it because that was that LO206
Right.
cart, and it turns you. It'll turn you.
3 and 4.
And, yeah.
So
like those ones.
here, here's the thing that surprised me the most. The exit of 2 really surprised me, but the biggest surprise for me on that track was the entry to turn 3.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, you better have a set, because when you take that car, just even in the middle, let's say the middle groove, because
That's where I ran.
And I ran 2-2-2, and let's say you enter the middle groove and you turn and you look into that turn 3 and you're looking down at the apex and 20-degree banking, and you got that car coming wide open, and you take a run, whether you want to go run down the hill or run right through that middle groove where it's hooked up, the speed, but the entry speed on turn 3, there was no thought of using brakes.
Nope.
I mean, there truly wasn't.
Nope.
And I was just like, whoa. That was – because you can see the banking, but when you get out there and you feel that, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So that kind of woke me up a
Really
little
did
bit.
wish the change.
And coming out of 2 is like a slingshot.
Yeah.
Very much like a slingshot, because of the entry of turn 1 and the way that track has balanced itself.
Yes.
Yeah, naturally.
Yes.
Very interesting. I think anybody that takes a look at it is they'll be pleasantly surprised. I hate when I get those updates. So let's get into the show. Let's really get into what we do. I want to start with Saturday night's results from Southern Oregon Speedway. Some things were a surprise. Some things weren't. And it was like the races, and this is for me, the races went one way or the other. There was no middle ground with Saturday night's racing action in the features. Am I right? I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I mean, so let's get in. Okay, Hornets. I think there was one surprise in the Hornets when Hedges was flying, coming through the field, got it hard into turn 3 and rolled the right front off the bead. I knew what happened the second he went in the corner, because I just saw this huge trail of clay shooting straight up, and I was like, he rolled that bead off, and I think he was running second or third when it happened, and it cost him because he ended up going to the hot pits, going 3 laps down. But with Hornets, Dylan Sauer, one more time, 5th win of the year. 5th win in 8 starts, I think it is. He has been, but I'll tell you right now, Jenna Hedges in the 27J.
See that car?
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. I don't know if they go 2 or 3 more laps, I don't know if Dylan Sauer wins that race. Because Hedges' car was coming on at the end. I mean, she was real on the entry, reeling him in. And I think if she could have got a run on him into turn 3, I think that, she had a chance, but, I mean, ran out of laps. It was a fun race that was starting to shape up there. I wish we could have seen what would have happened if there was a few more laps. She got second.
God, that's not the only race that you wonder what would have happened if there was at least 2, maybe 3 more laps.
Yeah.
The whole night was like that.
Well, it was. In every division. It was incredible racing. Mini stocks was kind of a done deal after about 8 laps in. The 67 at Dave Steele just dominated those
Smooth
guys
like butter all the way around that track.
And that is, you watch him, and every lap looks like it's on video replay. It's a 1-lap loop. It looks the same. Entry spot is the same, same line all the way around, and his speed. The track was fast Saturday night. It was hooked up, and he was able to to get the job done. Now, Ryan Nelson, on the other hand, had a really bad night in the Hornets. He just hit us up here on the chat line that says, currently contemplating blowing my Hornet car up.
Oh, no.
I thought he did there for a while on the front stretch. Turns out it was a transmission. But
I hope he posts that.
yeah, if you decide to do that, Ryan, please make a video of that. And post it.
We'd love that.
Tannerite and a little,
Yeah, little fireworks there, a little 4th of July.
But please don't do that. It costs more to build one than it is to fix one.
And if you do, please put on the cover, do not try this at home. A disclaimer.
That is for professionals only.
Yeah, he had a tough night. Ryan Nelson had a tough night. But Dave Steele didn't in the mini stocks. He checked out. He made it clear he came to race. From mini stocks, we went into. This isn't necessarily a race order. I'm going to move up through the ranks. We went into IMCA Sport Mods.
Interesting race in there.
Did you see? I mean, there was.
They were fast.
Well, in the action.
There was a
Yeah.
lot of action.
A lot of action.
Several different groups and clusters of cars around that track. That were
I didn't
all
know
battling
which
for
group to
position.
watch sometimes.
Yeah.
It was just so.
Yeah, it was.
You'd have 3-4 races going on at the same time.
Jordan Broughton came through the field, worked his way up through the field, and Broughton worked his way through the field, and he had a good race getting there. He didn't just. That's a competitive field of cars, but when Jordan Broughton gets to the front, when his car is dialed in that good, that Razor chassis, man, that dude he's tough to beat. And that was his. Was that his third or fourth win? I want to say it was his
Third, maybe?
After a while, you lose count. You just you keep seeing them there.
Yeah. Anyway, he's been the guy to beat in that division. But just watching him and his talents, and there's a lot of talent in that field. So I'm not
No discredit
down
to anybody, but
right. Just watching what he does is something else. Because you got to remember, those cars are on G60s, and I know, and they're a 3-point suspension, so you don't have a whole bunch of suspension to work with. I mean, you got some, but they have got that car dialed in. Awesome race out of Jordan Broughton and passing cars and going through the field, and definitely a better race this week than we had a couple weeks ago before the thunderstorms and the rain out. That race was completely opposite of what we had here last week with excitement-wise for the fans. Our feature event of the night was actually the IMCA Modifieds. I'm going to save that. I'm going to talk about late models first. Okay? Good field of cars for late models Saturday night. We had a few out-of-towners show up, guys that hadn't been there all year, getting ready for the Cottonwood Classic, $4,000 win coming up this Saturday. Doug Elkins, BJ Donofrio, two of the guys that were there that we saw for the first time in the Swartz chassis. And what was your take on their first appearance? It's the first time either one of those guys have been there. What do you guys think?
I thought they rolled out pretty good.
Impressed? Never been there before.
For the type of track that it is to come out of the box like that, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, you'd have never known they've never ran on that track. I mean, they're right in there with everybody, and it's like they knew the track, you know.
Well, let me tell you. I can tell you why. Talented drivers. But let me tell you something else. Norm Davis. I had a great conversation with Doug Elkins this week on the phone, and BJ. They called me. Actually, I was on the phone with Elkins when Donofrio called to talk about Saturday night. And Doug says I had my favorite Norm Davis moment. And he's been working with Norm now for 2.5 years, I guess, as a crew chief on that car. And I've said it before a million times. I'll say it again. You're not going to go anywhere in the country. Not going to go anywhere in the country. I don't care if it's Lucas Oil, whatever series you want to talk about. You're not going to go anywhere in the country and find anybody that knows those cars any better than Norm Davis. So to have that guy in your back pocket, huge advantage. Allergies are killing me tonight, guys. I apologize. Donofrio had a good run going, got to, third or fourth, and I thought he had some help getting spun because he was in a pack of cars. Not the case. And the conversation we had this week, I said, hey, what happened down there in turn 3 when the car came around on you? So I don't know. Drove it hard into turn 3, and the car just shut off.
So he lost power?
I said, just turned itself off. He goes, it just shut off. He goes, everything just shut down. And he goes, and then the car just kind of as it was rotating, as it shut down, the momentum carried it around.
Yeah, when I was videoing it, I didn't. I'm thinking, well, what happened? Nobody touched him.
Well, see, I didn't see that part. I just saw him coming in, and I was watching the leaders coming out, and then he was around. There was a couple of cars around him. I thought, oh, he got bumped.
No, they didn't touch him.
Car shut off. He says, I don't know. He goes, I don't know what happened. He goes, it was the weirdest thing. But we had a really, really good conversation. Donna Frio and I did. We talked more about the business side of racing than the actual racing, and it was good.
That could have been really bad if I had been real close to him.
Could have been.
Coming
Thank
right
goodness he
him.
was in that low line where the Swartz cars like to be. Watch those guys Saturday night when there's big money on the line. We had some interesting events take place in that feature. There was, I don't know if Mark Woggy and Trent Elliott had magnets on their cars. Those two guys couldn't get away from each other.
Nope.
They could. I mean, they got tangled up more than once.
During the same race.
I'm not sure, but I think Woggy's going to need a new body coming into this race. His car was, he wheel hopped. They got together and he wheel hopped over the front of, Trent Elliott might need a new body because Woggy wheel hopped and went over the front of the car and smashed it all down. This race started off weird. It started off weird as Trent Elliott was a late arrival to the track. He came flying off of turn 3. Just ahead of the leaders, trying to get around to catch the field, and the green came out. So everybody went to racing, and
Pretty sure Woggy needs a body too.
he's definitely going to need some right sides anyway. Yeah. So he got out right in front of the leaders, and it went green, which Trent didn't want because then you're already talking about starting off behind the leaders. A lap down on the first lap, basically. So they threw the caution out, lined everybody back up, took off, and front row was Koffel and Elkins, the 46 and the 41. We knew it was going to be a great race. Those guys started racing, started pulling away. Some guys started making moves through the field. And Trent Elliott from, I want to say it was their 17, 18? 17, 18 late model, something like that.
Yeah, got the number
Something
right
like that.
here.
It was a good field. It was a strong field. Good, fast cars. And Elliott, did you guys watch what he did from the back of the pack?
How many times?
4 times?
Yep.
3 times.
3 times?
Three
Three times. But he went to, he was coming on the high side, blown by everybody, worked his way up to, I think him and Woggy were battling for 3rd and 4th early in the race when they got together. And, here's the thing. I don't think the incident in turn 1, the first one where they got together, I've watched it. I don't believe that was intentional. Woggy was fast, had no idea that Trent was coming right in that line, and they got to the same spot at the same time. Trent got under the 1M and turned him around.
When I was watching it, I watched it quite a few times, and to me, it looked like number 1 car. He cuts in at the same spot every time. This time,
And
I think he was a little bit late in turning, and
so Trent was expecting to turn
and
sooner.
Trent was expecting him to
Trent
turn.
was wanting the high
and Trent
side.
was doing high side, and he just kept going.
Trent
And
Elliott
expected him to turn.
And that, we did talk about that.
And I
Dave,
think that's what it was. That's what I saw.
I think you might be right because we did watch several laps prior to that incident.
And every lap, they were running 2 different lines right there at that spot. They were breaking apart right there.
And that's a good possibility because watching where Woggy was entering on 1 and 3 was nearly the same spot every time.
Yeah.
And Elliott had been behind him a few laps. Probably was expecting him to turn a little sooner than he did, and he didn't. And Trent Elliott was right up the backside of him and turned him around. I don't think it was done with intent. I really don't because I know those guys are friends. I know where Woggy got his car, and there's a reason it has the same colors as Elliott. It's Trent's old car. It was a strange turn of events because both those guys got sent to the back. Okay, that's the rule at SOS.